Welcome to After the Poll, the video series where each and every week I take you through the realms of Marvel, DC, independent, and classic comics, and I share all my thoughts and opinions on those books that were released for the current comic book week, except those new number ones. If you want to check out that show, that's on Thursdays, and it's called Worthy Ones, as yes, I discuss those newest issue ones. Guys, I'm Mike Spiderslayer. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you love daily comic book content, you like me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy, you guys came to the right place. Hit the subscribe button. So this week we got some fun comic books to discuss, so let's not waste any more time and let's get started. You're now in the realm of Marvel Comics, and the first book we're talking about is Captain America. This is issue 3. I'm curious to hear your guys' comments with this book in the comments section below. When it comes to Captain America, I thought the first issue was alright. Then we got to the second issue, I was like, I don't know. And then the third issue, I'm like, for some reason, I can't gravitate myself to this book. I thought I would really like it, learning about this origin story of Dr. Doom and kind of like the ins and outs, but I just feel like this Captain America book is just not connected to what's going on in the Marvel universe. And I get what Chip is trying to do in this book, you know, giving a modern day storytelling of a Captain America, maybe not so dated, but for some reason it's not working for me. I don't know. You get this new version of the Howling Commandos and whatnot. It's just something that I'm just not really into. I like the action, I like the fighting, but it's kind of like the Cap that I don't remember or I liked when I was younger. So honestly, guys, I don't know if I'm going to be continuing this. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just maybe not something that's for me. So for me, I just was kind of nothing for nothing, but I was bored by it. And it was just average for me. So I gave it a C. The next book is One World Under Doom. This is issue 7. So the last issue was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. We wound up getting Dr. Doom exposed, you know, and we find out where he's getting his magical powers from. We get to see the entire world here kind of reacting to it, whether it's a news broadcast, podcast, J. Jonah Jameson. And then what happens is you wind up getting to see like Reed Richards go against Dr. Doom in here as like, I don't know, as like he's like Sorcerer Supreme or something like that. And you know what? It was all right, but at the same time, I felt like it wasn't as good as the last issue. I don't know. There was something missing here for me that I was like, oh wow, this is going to be really good. I did not expect these two to kind of go at it with each other, especially Reed being this way. And then, of course, you'll have to read it to find out who prevails at the end of the day. But same thing, when it came to this issue of One World Under Doom, I really enjoyed that last issue. And I just felt like the ramifications of what happened was kind of swept under the rug a little bit, because it was all like, oh yeah, you know, the people volunteered themselves to serve Doom for the greater purpose. And I almost felt like that was kind of like a little bit of a cop-out. I don't know, that's just me though. Same thing when it comes to One World Under Doom. This has been a hot and cold series for me. There's a good issue, there's not a great issue. So same thing, I gave this one a C. The next book here is Wolverine. This is issue 10. So this is the conclusion of this series. I would have loved to seen this series go maybe another couple more issues, or maybe even having an ongoing here, because I can truly see Benjamin Percy just continuing the adventures of the Wolverine character. But instead, you just wind up getting to see the wrap-up with Wolverine and Mephisto in this book. And it was kind of just like a quick and rushed ending here. You know, what happens with the Hulk character, the Hell Hulk, what happens with Mephisto. And it's just this, like, wrapped up in this little bow. And then the next thing you wind up seeing is this, like, the continued adventures of Wolverine. Is this the end? Question mark, question mark. You know, so it wasn't a very, very good ending in my opinion. However, the overall series is definitely worth the read. So I definitely would say check this out when it does come out in trade. I actually gave the conclusion to this series a C+. There's been nothing so far from Marvel that has really blown me away. The next book that we're talking about now is Eddie Brock Carnage. This is issue 8. So this series, same thing, has been a little bit of a hot and cold type of series for me. And this issue, I like the storytelling, but the artwork in this story is just not for me. This is not the original artist that was on the book. And where have I seen this guy's artwork before? You know what it is from? It just came to me. It's the same artist that did Nightclub, Mark Millar's miniseries. That's who does this. And so when you see the artwork in this comic book, it's not that great. Not for a Carnage or a Venom story, right? But it does work for Nightclub, but it doesn't work here. It is kind of creepy, it is kind of horrific, as you see. But in this particular issue, we wind up getting to see Eddie Brock get this muscle car. He's trying to get to where he needs to get to. He's trying to find out some information about this particular woman. We wind up getting to see Muse go after Eddie Brock in this issue as well. But it doesn't really, I feel like, progress the story all that much. I think it has some fun elements in it. Again, with Eddie picking up that muscle car, or I think it was a Camaro that he picked up, and then just interactions with the Carnage symbiote, and then him coming across a woman at the end of it and tying itself into King in Black, which maybe he does get that symbiote back once again in the future. This one was okay as well. This was nothing that was mind-blowing, just some entertaining moments. I gave this one a C+. Also, I just feel like the artwork doesn't work in here because, like I said, it fit better in Nightclub. All right. The next Marvel book here we have is Red Hulk, issue 8. For me, this was the weakest issue of this series so far, but it has been a really fun book. We get to see the continued torture here between Thunderbolt Ross, as he is being experimented on by Riker, and Riker is actually like a freaking werewolf himself, so you get to see him transform. You do get to see Deathlock in this issue fighting some like mutant sharks and whatnot, so that's kind of cool in there. But really what this book has been about is been about Thunderbolt Ross just escaping. Like, he's been in prison, he's been captured, he escapes, and then he gets captured again, right? But it makes it for a very high action, intense chase type of comic book, and it's really a lot of fun. However, this was a little bit on the weaker side for me, maybe a little bit repetitive, but again, it is still a fun read, so I wound up giving this one a B-. So I would suggest reading Red Hulk as well. All right, and then our last Marvel book we're talking about is Ultimate Wolverine. This is issue 9. So obviously, this has become much more than a Wolverine book these days once Logan has gotten freed of the Winter Soldier program, right? This has become more of an X book. So if you want to read X-Men and enjoy X-Men, you read this book. And you wind up getting to see our X characters infiltrate a Sentinel base. And just seeing all that was just absolutely exquisite in here. I love the artwork in here as well. And we get to see this plan that's in place for our mutants to try to take on this base. But you come across some other mutants that are other Sentinels that are fused with mutants, and I thought that was really nice. You get to see Cyclops here. His head is inside his Sentinel, and it's using its optic blast to defeat the our heroes at hand. Just really fun book. And then you just get to see Logan try to get his revenge on the Doctor as well. Just a really awesome issue. This by far was the best Marvel book that I read for the week, so I'm going to present this one as an A. Maybe not a perfect read, right? Because I feel like it's no longer that Wolverine book, but it is a good X book, and it is the top pick for Marvel for me this week. Welcome to the realm of DC Comics. We're going to kick it off with the Summer of Superman, and we're starting things off with Supergirl. This is issue 5. This series has been a guilty pleasure series for me. I've enjoyed it. It's had a decent cast of characters, like with Supergirl in there, and then it's got that new character, and then it's got Lena, and it's got all these different characters. But here we get to see the Super Pets do their mission against Princess Shark. Now, what I will say about this comic, this particular issue, is that the artwork is much different, and I was not a fan of the artwork. The artwork is a very distinct style in the regular artist that's on this book, and in here, it was almost to the point where it was like, yes, this is a kid's book. It's going to be about little cutesy animals that are flying around, and that's about it. That's all I got out of this book. You got to see all the pets kind of interact with each other and see if they can get along with each other. And then something happens to Supergirl at the end to where, like, she passes out and we don't know what happens to her. Do we get the regular artist back on this book? I hope so. Even though the artwork is a little bit different, it has grown on me. I don't want to see the art style change in this comic book. And, we'll see what happens going forward with this. I always said that Supergirl is kind of just like always teetering on that fence. It's been that guilty pleasure book. But as soon as it drops in the quality that it has, then I will drop it myself. So this one was not very good for me. I gave this one a D+. All right, the next book we're talking about is a good book. If you haven't jumped back on Action Comics, I would say jump on board with it. Action Comics 1090, as we're dealing with the early days of Clark Kent. He is Superboy once again, and it's awesome. It's a good book that's discovering who he is as not only Superman or Superboy, but as Clark Kent the person. And that's when this book shines the best, is when he's trying to go to school and get along with his friends, and he's trying to go out on this date with Lana, and his feelings for her. And I like that. This makes it a very grounded comic book compared to where you see other super books where he is going against Lex Luthor or he's fighting the Legion. And I like how we get a different angle on this book. And in this issue, you wind up seeing Lana, who's like not infatuated with Clark whatsoever, but infatuated with Superboy. And I thought that was very funny. But then the book does get serious, and then you wind up getting to see Superboy go against some adversaries and things like that, and him experiencing, I think, which is kryptonite for the very first time, and he doesn't know how to react to it. And then it ends with a decent cliffhanger here. So this book is really good. I've really enjoyed it. I'm happy I jumped back on board with it. If you want to jump on, I think it's like 1087. I think that's where we start off with this new story, but really good. I gave this one a solid B. All right. The next book here is Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum. This is issue 2. This one is another solid super book. It's done by the team from Ice Cream Man. Obviously, the art is going to be very weird in here. It's not what you're used to seeing. It definitely is that artwork you're used to seeing in Ice Cream Man, right? So in this book, it definitely takes that weird turn. It doesn't take any horror turn, but you see Superman, who is experimenting on all these new kryptonites, and he's trying to see what they are, so he knows, if they fall into the wrong hands, he knows what they can expect, right? But this kryptonite that he has, the cobalt kryptonite, makes him large. And he busts through the freaking Fortress of Solitude. It was hilarious. And then we get to see Lex Luthor, who realizes what's going on. So he rages him with red kryptonite. And then you get to see him kind of be this big kaiju Superman. And he has this big red eyes. And everyone's scared of Superman. Lex Luthor releases chemo out onto the world. And then they wind up fighting. And it was just a really good book. I had a fun time with it. And then we wind up getting to see Superman exposed to the next kryptonite at the end of this issue. And you get to see kind of what happens at the very last page of what he's going to become from there on out. I like this book, man. It's awesome. It might not be, again, the artwork that you are used to seeing maybe from like Dan Mora or whatnot, but it has its own distinct feel this way. So I like it. I gave this one a solid B. All right. Next, we'll talk about Green Lantern Corps. This is issue 8. This is still dealing with the, are they called the Starbreakers Corps? That's what they are. And so they have control of this emotional spectrum where everything is gray and the other emotional spectrum doesn't exist until we wind up getting to see our Green Lantern Corps different characters come through with their entities at hand, busting through, trying to take on the Stormbreakers. It was an absolutely awesome issue. Is it Nathan, who was the former fiance of Carol Ferris, kind of has a hero moment or an epiphany in this issue, and it has to do with their actual power battery in this book. I mean, this book is great. I absolutely love it. It's a fun book to read. Just seeing all the entities interact with all the other characters on the pages was great. The like gray artwork and the bright, vibrant colors really work well together in this book. There were some awesome character moments in this issue as well. This is such a fun book. It's great to have the Green Lantern Corps back again. I want to give this one an A-. All right, then we have the final story arc here, Batman Dark Patterns, issue 10. So this one I think has to deal with an arsonist, and we're trying to learn who this arsonist is in this particular issue. And Batman is so like messed up in the book. He's suffering from the gunshot wound that happened in the last story arc, and he does go out onto the town, and he's suffering from this bad fever and everything else. And you get to see him confront this arsonist, which is kind of creepy. It like wears like this like baby mask or whatever it is. I'm trying to see if I can find a picture like this. It's just so weird, dude. I was just like, oh my god. Now, does this tie into earlier issues? I'm not 100% sure because I didn't start reading this until issue 7. So let me know into the comments section below. The artwork does work in this book. It's the same artist, I think, that does Absolute Wonder Woman. So yeah, this was a good read. You know, I found myself at the end of it going, oh, pretty badass. I like it. So yeah, this is a solid book. I gave this one a B+ as well. All right. The last book we're talking about for DC is going to be Absolute Batman. This is issue 12. Love this cover of our new Killer Croc. And in the last issue, you kind of got to see the what-if scenario of what happens to Batman if he became like Bane, right? And he's been tested, and we wound up seeing that he does survive the experiment. Obviously, he's messed up. He is fighting whatever's coursing through his body right now. But throughout this issue, it's all about his friends on what they experienced. And Bane captured them, and Bane has done his sick experiments on him. And it all started with Waylon in this book as Batman and Killer Croc meet for the first time. Very much like this distorted version of Killer Croc. Absolutely love that version of him, and the pain and the suffering that he's going through. Oh my god, it was just very heart-wrenching for him. And then we just get to see again what everybody goes through in this book. It's a very grotesque and brutal type of issue. You get to see like Penguin in there, and this maybe his very, very early stages. You wind up getting to see the Riddler, Two-Face. It's just one of those books where you're just like, you're getting to see the very early stages of what's going to be Batman's Rogues Gallery. I do like how this book takes its time in presenting itself and all of the characters. I think it's really well done and well written that way. And then it looks like we're getting introduced to, which is Absolute Catwoman in the next issue, and that was on the latest FOC. So if you want that next issue of Absolute Batman, let your comic shop know, man. But this book was freaking top pick by far. A+, one of my favorite issues so far. This one I liked better than the last one, in my opinion, and I'm looking forward to that Absolute Catwoman issue as well. And now you are in the realm of the independent comics, and the first book we're talking about is Redcoat. This is issue 14. Now, is there an issue of Redcoat that ever disappoints? I don't think so, at least not in my eyes. Now, this does take a break with the current story arc that is going on, and this is a prelude issue to the first Ghost storyline that's going to be happening in this book. This book takes place in August 24th of 1814 in the Capitol building, where it is on fire. Somehow Simon Pure winds up in this timeline, and he is like blamed for causing this fire because no one knows who he is, and this fire magically started, right? So in this book, he winds up coming across the First Lady, and because she's running in there instead of running out, and really what the purpose was her to kind of save the portrait of George Washington. So he teams up with her, and he comes across, some confrontation with other redcoats, I guess, that were further down the line than he was when he was around, right? And they wind up escaping with this portrait. And what happens in this comic book sets the events to come in the future when it comes to Simon Pure. This was a really good book. George Washington is tied into this one heavily, so I would give this one an A. Definitely recommend Redcoat. All right, and then we got Space Ghost. This is issue 2, a phenomenal read. I always will say go back, read that first trade that just finished, and come back and here read volume 2 as you'll have a better understanding of this. And in this book, we wind up getting to learn about a former flame, a girlfriend of Space Ghost, and she was a very good-looking woman in here, and you would say that she is a black cat or a cat woman of this cosmic universe, and her name is Eclipse Woman. She can bend light so she can steal artifacts, and the reason why she's able to do this is because she stole a gauntlet from Space Ghost. And seeing the past history of these two working with each other was actually a lot of fun. The artwork continues to deliver on all levels in this book, and the character interactions were awesome, especially between Space Ghost and not Space Ghost, Eclipse Woman and the young boy. Oh my god, at the end of it, it was absolutely hysterical. I can't wait to read more issues of this book. This is another solid A for me. I wouldn't say it was my favorite story from this line as of yet, but it is a top tier book every single time. It's always like an A book for me. All right, the next book we're talking about is Conan the Barbarian. This is issue 24. This book just does not disappoint, right? It's such a well-told book. And in this issue, we wind up getting to see Conan team up with the Shapeshifter once again. They've done what they've had to do in the actual book itself, and now the Shapeshifter has to honor Conan's wishes by rescuing the girl that Conan was captured with, right? And of course, we wind up getting to see them come across all these different adversaries and challenges along the way. So this was a very much action-packed issue with great artwork, nice coloring. And the cool thing about this issue is they came across like these Medusa-like creatures. It was like in this birthing chamber. You see this nice like 2-page spread in here, and you wind up getting to see these creatures hatch, and it was just totally intense. Now, they don't change you to stone, but they make you see all these different things. They make you like hallucinate and whatnot, and seeing our heroes go through this challenge was absolutely awesome. Now, at the end of this book, you do wind up getting to see Conan go to that woman that he was supposed to rescue because he was a good friend of hers, and you'll find out. Does he rescue her or he doesn't rescue her? But this does end the story arc. Top pick for me, A+. Conan is an awesome, awesome comic book. All right, the next one we're talking about is Feral. This is issue 16. Walking Dead with pets. That's all this book actually is. And it is so good at the moment as they are in this Pet City store, and they've come across other cats in here. Are they friend or are they foe? I wouldn't say necessarily that they're faux, but these cats have a different way, a different outlook on life. They're trying to survive in this pet store. They were brought up in this pet store, while we get to see the other cats, our cast of cats that we've been following. They've been in regular homes, right? They've been domesticated, and they've been outside in the universe. In the universe? In the world, I guess, right? And so in this issue, you wind up getting to see that Lord has broken the rules of the Pet City world, and he's been condemned to death. And what are our cats going to do to save Lord, right? And in this book, you wind up getting to see lots of tension build. It builds and builds and builds, and then it comes to a point at the end of this issue where it's a massive cliffhanger. How are any of these cats going to survive this outcome? I don't know, but my gosh, top pick, A+. Such a good book. I love the tension that this book delivers. So well done. Farrell is awesome. All right. And then this is it, guys. Transformers issue 24. My hat's off to Daniel Warren Johnson, Jorge Corona on this book. It's just been a fun ride. Of course, the book is not ending. It's just the end of this story arc, and I'm very excited for Robert Kirkman and Dan Mora to be on this book. But this is just one of those books that came along for 24 issues, has been very special, and it hits a lot of people's hearts, especially that grew up to this property, right? And so this is the way you capture robots with emotion. It does hit you. And in this book, you just see epic battles, and it definitely gives you Transformers animated movie vibes here, as you do get to see Optimus Prime take on Megatron. It was just insane. Balls to the walls action, just fighting, pile driving, like it's wrestling moves. He's coming from the top rope here. Boom, he's coming down on Megatron. Just insane, dude. And we get to see Megatron just be that ultimate dick that he is. He's like, "You're weak, Prime." He's like, you take care of these fleshlings, and he's like, and you want to protect them. He's like, that's what makes you so weak. And it's just crazy. And just some of the battles and the pieces and everything that goes flying in the air, and the sound effects, it's just insane. You get freaking Prime impaled on this building. I mean, it's crazy. And I actually love how Bruticus and Devastator have had this relationship with each other. At first, they hated each other, and now they become bros. You know, it's just like they look out for each other. Just absolutely awesome. But seeing how the Autobots won this was awesome. Now, it wasn't without loss, of course. I mean, no one really died in this book, but it was just one of those things where the Autobots took a heavy toll and the Decepticons took a heavy toll, and they retreated for now. There's some great two-page spreads in this book, and just really, really excellent. I really love this book, and it's just a fitting conclusion to Daniel Warren Johnson's run on Transformers. So this was a top pick as well, and this got the A+ as well. I mean, independents, you can't deny them, guys. I say it every week. They're the best thing going in comics right now. Welcome to the realm of the classic comic books, and in my bedroom, I actually have a stack of Dark Hawk comic books that I got in the mail so long ago, and I've never bagged and boarded. They've just been sitting there, and I'm like, let me read an issue of this Dark Hawk comic book that I haven't read in so long. And this one is Dark Hawk. This is issue 3. Now, this book was released March 5th of 1991. Dark Hawk was a brand new character at the time. This is a 32-page comic for the price of $1. This one is written by Danny Fingergoth, who is the writer that wrote Web of Spider-Man, right? That I recently did a review on Spidey Classics with, and the art is done by Mike Manley. Now, the book features Spider-Man, so that's kind of the reason why I decided to read it, but it's part 2 of this story arc. But it was kind of cool to look back on Dark Hawk and all these classic ads like usual. Here we get to see Chris Powell as he's still discovering like who he is as Darkhawk. Is he going to be friend? Is he going to be foe? And you can see that him having possession of this amulet and having these new powers, it has taken a toll on him emotionally. He's missing his father. He's trying to be the dad in his household by taking care of his twin brothers, and it's been rough for him. And when he comes across, you know, enemies like the Hobgoblin and whatnot, he feels like he needs to take matters into his own hands, and he needs to maybe possibly kill the Hobgoblin in here, right? But Spider-Man is just like, no. He's like, as soon as you kill this guy, he's like, it makes you no better than the villain. So you need to make the right decision. And then you see Darkhawk wind up leaving the scene, and he's just kind of just like, man, I don't know. Spider-Man's just like, I don't know if I should trust this guy or not. You know, what decision is he going to make? Do I need to continue to help him? Freaking great book, actually, right? Now, the cool thing about this comic book, and I don't even remember this, it says, help me save Mary Jane. So this was something that you could call on the phone and answer Spider-Man trivia questions. It says call 1-900-740-8888. First minute is $1.75, 95 cents each additional minute, maximum call 3 minutes. It says how to play. It says call the number, answer Spider-Man trivia to help Spider-Man scale the wall, battle the villains, and save Mary Jane. You can win prizes like trading cards, watches, a handbook from Marvel, all kinds of stuff. Dude, that was absolutely awesome to see that. I wish I would have played that back in the day, but I know my mom would have yelled at me for actually spending money on something like that, right? But yeah, you got, you know, Michelangelo and the Turtles in there advertising some new freaking pizza-shaped marshmallow cereal. That's so great, dude. Now, I have to ask, where were you guys back on August 13th, 1991? And the reason why I asked, because this was the release of X-Men. This is issue 1, one of the most highly anticipated comic books of all time, right? This book was 52 pages, $1.50 at the time. It had a connecting cover, and there was a print run of this book of 1,512,000 copies. I think this is the highest selling book out of all time, written by Chris Claremont and Jim Lee. This book had the main cover, it had its connecting covers to it, right? There was like the first time besides like Spider-Man where he had all these different variants. I mean, I remember, just like I talked about that that Spider-Man issue 1 comic at the comic shop, place was freaking packed to try to get this comic book. Now, this book, I think, is the anniversary edition. Obviously, it has all the covers connected to it, which is really nice to see, right? And then on the inside, you got this cover as well, as it has like the X in the background. And what this book does is it really showcases that beautiful Jim Lee artwork. Has the glossy pages, right? So it's just really nice to see it here. I have all the other covers as well, but this is a book that really showcases Jim Lee at peak, right? I mean, this is amazing. It's so well done. I absolutely love this. We can go through this all day, right? We can see all these great pictures that Jim Lee has drawn over the years. And here we get to see classic Jean Grey and Rogue and whatnot. Just every page has a different cast of characters as you're reading this comic book. You get to see Magneto in here. Asteroid M, all those different things, and just reliving this story was pretty good. And Chris Claremont, I tell you, after years and years of writing X-Men, he still had story to tell here. I mean, this was no short on dialogue whatsoever, right? Just a really good, awesome space capsule, or time capsule, I should say, to go back to and check this out. And again, I was so impressed by Jim Lee's artwork here at the end of this, as you get to see like 2-page spread galleries here, sketch art on this one. This is a beautiful cover right here, or cover interior artwork right here. It just continued to shine. Every time I looked at another page, it was just like my jaw dropped, and here we get to see sketches as well. So this was just a fun book, just reliving the days and just being Magneto being sought out with, and again, it's just like a time capsule, man. Absolutely loved this book. I don't know anybody who doesn't have a copy of this book, but it's good to kind of open it up every once in a while and to remember how great Jim Lee was in his early days as an artist. I'm not saying he's a bad artist now, but this is him at peak. And there you have it, webheads. There are all my thoughts and opinions on all of the comic books that I read for this week. Do you agree, disagree? Let me know in the comment section below. And of course, guys, I'll leave you more content right here for you to click on. I think we're going to leave you a FOC, a video, and also the newest series that I have called First Issue Fridays, if you haven't checked that out as well. So as always, guys, thank you for watching. Support the local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, but always read your comics so we can have great comic conversation. Guys, thank you so much for watching. See you on the next one.